Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Bishop Darrell Watkins, and let's queer up the USA view. Gay hairdresser released from El Salvador prison, then sent to dangerous Venezuela. In a bittersweet turn of events, Andy Hernandez Romero, a gay Venezuelan makeup artist and asylum seeker, has been released from a notorious prison in El Salvador, but sent back to Venezuela instead of being granted safety in the U.S. Hernandez Romero entered the U.S. legally in 2024, fleeing anti-LGBTQ+ persecution and political violence. Though he passed his credible fear interview, he was deported after attending a government appointment. The Trump administration used the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, the same law once used to incarcerate Japanese Americans, to send him and over 250 other Venezuelan men to El Salvador's infamous Secot prison. There they were held without due process, accused of gang ties based on tattoos. His lawyers say Hernandez Romero has no criminal record. Secot is widely known as a site of torture and brutal anti-LGBTQ abuse. Photojournalist Philip Holsinger recalled witnessing Hernandez Romero cry, plead, and shout, "I'm innocent, I'm gay," as guards shaved his head and slapped him for speaking. Following months of advocacy and mounting pressure, Hernandez Romero has now been released as part of a prisoner swap that returned 10 U.S. citizens from Venezuela and sent the detained Venezuelans in El Salvador back to their homeland. Representative Robert Garcia, a gay U.S. congressman, has been tracking the case and said on social media, quote, "We are grateful he is alive," end quote. Still, concerns loom over the failure to honor Hernandez Romero's asylum claim. Andy Hernandez Romero remains a lead plaintiff in a court case challenging the use of the Alien Enemies Act. Considering the challenging life queer people have to lead in Venezuela, all we can say is he's out of the frying pan and into the fire. This is an incredibly disturbing and heartbreaking story. It is, there's no justice involved. He came here legally. And here's the thing, when people, they all say, oh, if they just do it right, we don't mind people doing it, they gotta do it. He came here legally. He had a court date. Everything was right. This has nothing to do with the process. First of all, the process is very flawed anyway. But even when you manage to navigate it, he should have never been deported. Once it was a mistake, he should have been brought back immediately. Even after it took way too long, he still should have been brought back. But he had a credible threat for seeking asylum, got here legally, had a court date, and then got sent back after months of detainment to the very place his life was in danger to start with. If he comes back today, if he gets $1 million settlement, if we give him citizenship when he sets foot on the ground, his life will never be the same. Mm-hmm. He will be scarred and traumatized for life, and needlessly so. This is, however great you think we are, however moral you think we are, whatever our potential, our country, in my view, in my opinion, it seems to be so lacking in empathy and compassion right now that it's hard to claim any amount of decency or the higher ground at all. This is a person whose life has been needlessly scarred, and we should have been a place of refuge for him. We should have been his champion, and we added to his torment.
I mean, South Florida is literally filled with asylum seekers that have been burned by the Trump administration, many of whom in their voting bloc may have actually voted for Trump if their communities, not those who weren't able to vote. From Haitians to Venezuelans to Nicaraguans, they are all having their asylum, retracted. And there's no way around it. I know from friends who work with people that are here on asylum and that are getting a letter in the mail saying, you're being revoked, and like even showing up to go to appeal it, you're immediately illegal. So they're setting up a system to make you illegal. And, and the second thing is, everyone was told a lie, and we're still being told that lie, that they're picking up people and deporting criminals. And they're not deporting criminals. They're deporting hairdressers and gardeners and restaurant workers and maids all over this country, and violently. And in some cases, sending them back to places where now their lives are not only, are they going to unsafe places, but where their lives may be literally at risk.
We just went to Ellis Island a few weeks ago, and immigration even back then was screwed up, and you could see the way they treated people. They were treated like animals, and nobody should be treated like that at all. We're human beings and be decent, and most of our ancestors have been through that. So, we need to revamp the system and make it more friendly to allow people to come into our country, because people want to come in our country, and we should be honored that people want to come in our country.
Yeah.
And they should treat people normal,
right.
And with respect. But to do this to this poor guy, it's just incredible. And because supposedly maybe had a tattoo that was like a gang member, but even if he did, we all screw up in our lives. Suppose he did when he was younger. That doesn't mean that he's still a member.
Right.
But just to throw him away.
And apparently he has no gang connection. He has no criminal record. And these folks are being picked up at the courthouse. Well, if they came legally, they're at the courthouse.
That's what they're here doing.
And it's not illegal to seek asylum. It's not even illegal to seek asylum at the border. So this is, we've just committed to othering people and dehumanizing people and demonizing people. And there's no way to make it right. And when you complain, when you say something about, this marginalized group or this oppressed group or this, the administration is now calling that ideology, and they are canceling programs and defunding programs based on ideology. A person's life is not ideology. This life happens to be queer. That's not an ideology. And I shouldn't have to suffer more than anyone else just because of that. Or if I'm an immigrant, or if I'm a refuge seeker, or if I'm a person of color, or if I'm of some, religion you don't know about or don't like, none of that should matter. None of that should matter. And I just don't think that I'm a super lefty crazy, well, I'm super lefty and crazy, but my caring about other people isn't what made me so. That should just be the basic standard of being a person. And we're failing that standard right now.
And he did everything he was supposed to do, and he still got, screwed in the long run.
Right. This is, I don't care what your economic policies are or your past political affiliations. There is no way that the behavior of this administration can be deemed moral or acceptable, no matter who you are.
It seems that according to at least polling, favorability of immigration is actually on the rise. I think they said it's gone up like 15 points since Trump has taken office, about where people had a favorable view of does the United States need immigration. Of course, we do. But the idea of what was sold, and again, it's the fear mongering that people saw on TV, that like everybody that's coming across the border are criminals, and focusing on the Venezuelan gangs, which again are real problems that actually did exist in this country. But now the implementation it's just a numbers game. Yeah. So if they can just round up people, it doesn't matter if it's children, women, teen, it doesn't matter. They just want numbers so they can say we've deported X amount of people.
We made you say,
yes, and that's nothing to do with their crime.
Won't be their Thanksgiving dinner now because we saved you.
Yeah.
Please. So cruelty is never the right thing. It's just never the right thing. And that's a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.